Well, the Snyder Cut of Justice League was finally released. Okay, so it's just an alternative cut of a superhero film that came out in 2017. I feel like some context is needed.
It has to.
Originally, Justice League was directed by Zack Snyder. Rob Schneider. The Justice League was directed by Rob Schneider. You can do it! He directed Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman before this. He'd already filmed a load of Justice League when the negative reviews for Batman vs Superman started coming in. People thought it was a bit dark and miserable.
Tell me. Do you bleed?
Then, after a personal tragedy caused Zack Snyder to leave the project in the middle of it, Warner Brothers decided to bring in Joss Whedon to finish it, and presumably told him to make it more colourful and wacky, more like what he'd done with the Avengers. The end product was a bit rubbish.
We hope.
Well, I knew you didn't bring me back because you like me.
I don't. Not.
So fans started campaigning for the original Rob Schneider cut that was supposed to be released back then in 2017. However, I can't help but think that this newer cut may or may not have been thrown together for audiences in 2021, with the benefit of hindsight over how poorly received that 2017 theatrical cut was. Mind you, it does still introduce important components to you in the same manner that they would if it was your first interaction with them. Hey, 2021 audience, this is Aquaman. You don't know him yet, but eventually he'll get his own movie in 2018. Now this new cut is over 4 hours long, although that's just because nearly all of it is in slow motion. Fortunately, it was released for home streaming though, just like they'd already done a few months earlier with Wonder Woman 1984. That's probably not going to help combat film piracy. Anyway, it got me wondering, would you get away with releasing a 4-hour film in cinemas now? For one thing, my local cinema only allowed you to use their parking facilities for a maximum of 3 hours, with no return within 30 minutes. Most of the cinemas around here though do make sure that they finish with enough time that night for you to catch the last bus, just before 11 PM in most places. That means that after adding on an additional half an hour at the start for ads and trailers, then the latest showing that they could put on for that night would be about 6:15 in the evening. Also, you'd have to charge double, since it's the same length as 2 films. And longer run times mean fewer screenings of that film can take place in one day, therefore fewer tickets sold in one day. Good luck holding your bladder for the duration of the film after you've been tempted by a drink the size of the one in this picture. And clearly this cut was intended for cinemas, because it looks to have been filmed for IMAX screens, with that boxy aspect ratio. This looks a bit weird on current home TV sets, or even on tablets and phones. See, when they introduced widescreen initially, it was because it allowed you to see more. See, that's better. And then eventually, people decided to add even more to the top and bottom to cover more of the viewer's peripheral vision and have this giant screen. Only now when you get an alternate cut for something that was intended for IMAX, we seem to be jumping back and forth between aspect ratios on our home screens. Are they going to need to recut all of the other DC films now, so that they can be more consistent with Roy Scheider's original vision for Justice League? Also, that actor there with Commissioner Gordon in this scene is the same actor that played the prison warden in Paddington 2.
And it turns out the monster wasn't such a monster after all.
And they all became the best of friends. The end.